On the federal level, we are hopeful that the new Democratic administration that we were celebrating, inauguration, is going to be a lot more sympathetic to the interests of asbestos victims than was the last administration, and that we are not going to see much hostile legislation at the federal level. We do expect to see a bill to ban asbestos. This bill would, by statute, codify a ban that EPA first proposed in 1989 and was struck down by the Fifth Circuit. We think that an asbestos ban is long overdue, and AAJ unequivocally supports passing that legislation this year. There's been some delay. We thought we'd see the bill sooner. Both the Senate and the House environmental committees have been busy with climate change legislation. In the Senate, they're looking to have a standalone asbestos ban bill that would amend the Toxic Substance Control Act. Congressman Waxman has expressed some interest in doing a major overhaul of TSCA, and in doing so, overturning the Fifth Circuit decision in corrosion fittings on the asbestos ban. And that difference of opinion between the House and the Senate on how broad a reform there will be of the underlying TSCA statute is part of what's holding up this legislation. Last summer, we saw an effort by EPA to revise its asbestos risk assessment, and the revisions to the risk assessment, to summarize, would have said that exposure to chrysotile causes substantially less mesothelioma than exposure to other forms of asbestos. We thought that the effort to revise the risk assessment was politically motivated. And one of the reasons we thought that it was politically motivated is because the author of the EPA risk assessment had been industry's consultant on the question of asbestos risk in the 1980s when EPA and OSHA first addressed these issues. And so that didn't seem like it was a neutral reappraisal of the risk assessments. And both EPA and OSHA had rejected this theory repeatedly prior to the Bush administration. The EPA appointed a special panel of its Science Advisory Board. More than 80 scientists signed some comments to the EPA criticizing the revised risk assessment. Those comments were recently published in the American Journal of Industrial Medicine in a peer-reviewed article explaining why the EPA's attempted revision to the risk assessment was flawed. I have the reference for those of you who would like it. Be happy to provide it later. And EPA has now disavowed any efforts to move forward on its risk assessment, and we are hopeful that that effort is now dead. In addition, during the Bush administration, the mining industry pressured the